Yo guys, what is up? This is Real American Josh, and welcome to the Real American Sports Podcast, guys. And this week we're going to be talking NFL. Now, this Thursday I'm really excited because the NFL preseason starts. Technically, it started last Thursday with the Hall of Fame game, but as you can see, the Miami Dolphins are my favorite team, so I'm probably going to I'm using their background, and I'm also going to be using them in the thumbnail probably too. But I'm really excited about this. Hopefully I'll be doing one of these going up every Monday and Friday. Today you guys will be getting 4 uploads, which is really awesome. You guys getting 4 uploads today, including a vlog from my iPhone. But the main game I cannot wait to watch. The two things I really look forward to preseason this year was watching the Dolphins, obviously, and seeing how they've progressed, and also seeing Lamar Jackson debuting. Lamar Jackson, he made some pretty throws in that preseason game, but he did not play overly well. Now, part of that can be attributed to the fact that offensive line that he was playing behind really sucked. But the Ravens, they've got some work to do. They've got to put a team around Lamar Jackson, but I really think Lamar Jackson can be a great future star in the NFL. A lot of people don't believe in him, and it's mostly because he's an African American quarterback. But the Ravens did end up picking up the 17-16 win. Good for them. That's my brother's favorite team, even though he says it's his favorite team, but he doesn't know a thing about them. But let's start preseason week 1. And we got to talk about my Dolphins. All right, so I don't expect much from the Dolphins' first team offense this week because Ryan Tannehill playing his first game in 19 games, his first start in 19 games. And I've got to find a way to watch this game because I really want to watch him. But I'm probably going to watch it after it's done. I believe here on YouTube, NFL Network Live will stream all the preseason replays. So that's probably how I'll end up watching the game. But yeah, I don't expect much from the first team offense. Obviously, the Buccaneers. Now, if I was the Buccaneers, they're going to be without Jameis Winston for the first 3 games. So I'd start Ryan Fitzpatrick and see how he does. But I really don't expect much from either first team offense. I really don't expect much from the game. But I'm gonna give my score prediction for this preseason game. I'm going to give the Dolphins a 14-10 win. It's a preseason game. It's going to be kind of low scoring, and I'm also excited to see how our linebackers do, with new additions, Raekwon McMillan returning from injury. The offensive line, obviously, I'm excited to see everything about the Dolphins. And I also like the Buccaneers, see what they have. Can they be a playoff team? They had high expectations last year, and they didn't quite live up to that. All right, so the next game, I've got to talk about the Panthers and Bills. They're playing each other. Now, the Panthers, how will that offense look now? Will Christian McCaffrey be used in the way that he should be? He wasn't used properly last year, and, how will he perform? How will this, Christian McCaffrey and C.J. Anderson? That sounds like a really good 1-2 punch, How will the Panthers do? And obviously their defense, will the Panthers be as good as last year? And if you saw my predictions video, I have the Panthers winning the NFC South. But this is my first video in my new recording setup, by the way. But, I had the Panthers winning the NFC South. All right, on the other side, you got the Bills. I hate the Bills. But, the Bills will obviously probably go with A.J. McCarron as a starter. It's a battle between McCarron, Nathan Peterman, and Josh Allen. But I'm really excited to see what Josh Allen has. He was highly touted just because of that arm. But remember, Jamarcus Russell also was because he had a really strong arm. And he didn't turn out well. Will Josh Allen turn out? Because he's obviously making a big jump in competition going from Wyoming playing teams like, I think, UNLV, Utah State, and teams like that. I'm not even sure who they really played. I know they played in the Mountain West, I believe, or is it the WAC? I can't even remember what conference they play in. Hold on, let me get a swallow of water. But, he's making a big jump in competition. And obviously, they just traded for Corey Coleman yesterday. So how will he perform? Like, I don't really expect much from the Bills' offense this year. I really don't expect much from them in general. You know, Josh Allen will start at some point this season. But honestly, A.J. McCarron, I'm hoping he gets his opportunity because A.J. McCarron can be a really good quarterback. And he should be. But they're probably not going to start him. So, all right, my final score prediction, I'm going to have the Panthers. The Panthers win this game, kind of low scoring, 17-16 Panthers. Next up, we have the Bears and the Bengals, and if this matchup happened in the regular season, it'd be a matchup that literally no one except Bears and Bengals fans are excited for. But with the Bears, Mitchell Trubisky, he didn't play his best game in the Hall of Fame game. Hold on, let me get the stats right quick. He didn't play his best game, I don't believe. I might be wrong about that. But let me get these final stats. I'm on the NFL mobile app, not sponsored, but if NFL mobile app, I use you a lot, so if you want to sponsor me, that would be lit. That would be really lit. So, I see, Bears. Alright, so, according to this, Mitchell Trubisky didn't even play. So, he actually didn't play, and Joe Flacco apparently did not play either, so. Is that really the thing? Okay, they didn't play their starters in the Hall of Fame game. So, obviously I don't know what I'm talking about. Because that's probably why I didn't hear anything about Joe Flacco or Mitchell Trubisky from the Hall of Fame game, and why I didn't know their stats, because they didn't even play. I didn't even watch the Hall of Fame game. I forgot what I was doing. I think I was editing, but but the Bears, will they actually let Mitchell Trubisky play, or will Chase Daniel and Tyler Bray continue to lead them? I want to see Mitchell Trubisky's development, and I also want to see if they use Tariq Cohen like he said he can be used, like Tyreek Hill, and he probably could be, but if you put him at wide receiver, you've got to have a really accurate guy, because he's literally the same height as Jakeem Grant, so, 5'6", so need to have a really accurate quarterback. Mitchell Trubisky, I don't know if he is that accurate quarterback, so maybe just keep him as a running back out of the backfield, throw him screens and stuff. But on the other side, the Bengals, I don't have high expectations for the Bengals this year. I feel like they should have never let go of A.J. McCarron, or Hugh Jackson for that matter. But they didn't let go of Hugh Jackson. He went to Cleveland. Obviously, that wasn't the best move on his part. But, I can understand he wanted to move up in the world. But A.J. McCarron, he could have been a Cleveland Brown last year. Of course, the Browns messed it up in the most Brownsiest way ever. But he could have been. And I feel like he could perform decently with Cleveland, They don't have a bad offensive line. Their run defense was pretty good last year, so. Overall, it was just their quarterback position, all the turnovers that really killed them, But Andy Dalton, how will the Red Rifle perform? He's always performed decently, no matter how bad or good the Bengals team is. He always performs okay. All right, so, and obviously the offensive line and defense is the biggest question for the Bengals. How will they perform? That's the biggest question for the Bengals. So overall, I think I'm going to give the Bears a 20-10 win this preseason game. Yeah, I just think the Bears are slightly better than the Bengals. Next up, this would be a heck of a regular season matchup, Saints and Jaguars. Last year, the Saints had the second-ranked offense in the NFL. The Jaguars had the second-ranked defense in the NFL. So, that would be an awesome matchup to see. The Saints, will Drew Brees continue to perform at a high enough level at his old age? The guy's 39, maybe 40. He's almost 40, so how will he perform, And the Jaguars, how will Blake Bortles do, especially after losing Allen Robinson and Allen Hurns? He did okay without Allen Robinson last year and Allen Hurns for most of the year, so will he continue to play well enough, Now, personally, I think Blake Bortles does do enough to win for him. He can be a game manager. There's nothing wrong with a game manager at quarterback because Leonard Fournette, if they get another complimentary back to him, a Tariq Cohen or Kenyon Drake type player, they get a guy like that in the draft next year, or if they find one, because right now they got a power game. They got T.J. Yeldon and Leonard Fournette, so that is a literal power game running back thing. All right, so and the defense is obviously really good. So the main thing, how will the Saints ones match up against the Jags ones, offensively and defensively? Overall, if this was a regular season game, it would be a good game. But it's a preseason game. I'm going to give the Saints a 24-14 victory over the Jaguars here in the preseason. Next up, this one's on NFL Network. A battle of the two worst teams last year to start off the preseason. Interesting way to start off the preseason. Sorry, guys, I got to stand up. I need to get a better chair. The chair is not very comfortable, but I guess the main thing, how much will we see of Tyrod Taylor and Baker Mayfield? I'm really excited. I might actually watch this game, and then since it's on NFL Network, and I'll actually be able to watch it here on the NFL mobile app, because you can watch all the NFL games on NFL Network. The NFL Network games you can watch right here on the NFL mobile app. So if you don't have that and you're an NFL fan, go get it. It's a pretty good app. You can get all of the news on your favorite team and all that. But with the Giants, Saquon Barkley is the big guy. And also the defense. Can the defense return to 2016 for him? Overall, I think I had the Browns improving some and the Giants both improving so this year. So I feel like they can improve. But I'm interested in seeing these Browns' new additions. They had a really lit receiving core, and then they traded away Corey Coleman, so now all you got is Josh Gordon and Jarvis Landry. They're thinking about playing Jarvis Landry on the outside, and in my opinion, that is a mistake. Jarvis Landry is not an outside receiver. He's a slot receiver through and through. Let me get a swallow of water. Sorry, guys. It's really hot in here, and I really am not feeling good, but, I'm doing this anyway because I promised it. Well, I didn't promise it, but I'm staying consistent here on YouTube, hopefully, so I can become a career YouTuber one day. But again, like the Browns and Giants, Baker Mayfield and Tyrod Taylor, how will they perform? Obviously the run game with Carlos Hyde, Nick Chubb, and Duke Johnson, they got a loaded backfield. This Browns team can be good. And, I hope they do eventually. Like the city of Cleveland, those fans have remained loyal for so long to a team that's that bad. They deserve it. They really deserve it. They deserve a Super Bowl. Them and the Raiders, like the two of the most loyal fan bases of all time, I think. And both of those teams eventually deserve a Super Bowl, But with Cleveland, they've made improvements on both sides of the ball. Now, in my opinion, at number 4, drafting Denzel Ward, if I was the Browns, I would have taken Bradley Chubb there, and I would have made probably in a couple of years what could have been the NFL's best pass rushing team. Add another veteran in there at defensive end, get you a pretty decent pass rushing defensive tackle. You could have had probably you could have been up there with the Jaguars, Eagles, and Vikings as one of the top pass rushing teams in the league. The Raiders too, the Broncos. You could have been up in that level. And your defense, if you get a good defense in the NFL, it's been shown. Your offense does not have to be amazing. The Broncos showed that. The Seahawks showed that. You don't need an amazing offense. If you got one of the top defenses in the NFL, you can win. In my opinion, if Case Keenum had not had that pretty good defense in Minnesota, he might not have been as successful. That's just how it goes. But overall, this Browns-Giants game, I'm going to give Cleveland the 16-10 victory over the Giants. All right, next up, Another regular season matchup that I feel would be okay: the Steelers and Eagles. Actually, I feel like the Eagles will probably destroy Pittsburgh in the regular season. But now Carson Wentz, he's not going to play in this game, so you're going to have to see how the offense can perform with Nick Foles in the preseason. Because there's a pretty decent possibility that Nick Foles is the starting quarterback for the first 3 games of the season. Now, the first 3 games of the season, Nick Foles is starting quarterback. Now that offense, they got enough weapons. The defense is really good, so they can survive with Nick Foles. They can survive. Now they're playing the Falcons. Can that defense perform well enough against the Falcons week 1? Remains to be seen, because this is the preseason. But sorry guys. On the other side, you got Ben Roethlisberger along with Antonio Brown, and then Le'Veon Bell. You still got the triple Bs. I forgot what they call them, but like they got the weapons. The Steelers have the weapons. As always, they're going to be dangerous on offense. Defense is where you got the question mark. Can Terrell Edmonds, their first round pick at safety, how will he do? Will he allow the Steelers to trade away their veteran safety Shawn Davis, who's been a decent safety overall? Will he be an improvement over Shawn Davis? Obviously they're not going to trade Morgan Burnett. I wouldn't trade Morgan Burnett now. I would not. So, I'd understand completely if the Steelers decide to roll with Terrell Edmonds and trade Shawn Davis if he shows enough in the preseason against Nick Foles, a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I never in my life thought I would say that, but Nick Foles is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And that another point I made out of Adam Gase, if you're watching this, study that Eagles offense a little bit. I think Tannehill with those run-pass options, I think he can be deadly. If Nick Foles can be deadly, Ryan Tannehill is a lot more mobile than him. That's a very deadly offense. Also, John Harbaugh or Morenwig, the Ravens offensive coordinator, do that with Lamar Jackson, because that would be deadly. Also, Panthers with Cam Newton, even though I don't like him. Like any team with a mobile quarterback, use those run-pass options. I think the Eagles have found a formula to perform well with any quarterback on offense. The only quarterbacks I could see it not working for is your older quarterbacks. Like Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, all them. I could see it not working for them. But, I could definitely see it not working. But anyways, like the Eagles, I'm going to give them the preseason. I'm going to give the Steelers, since it's preseason, I'm going to give them a win, 20-17. And I will actually be right back, guys. I'm not going to make a cut here. I've got to go to the bathroom. I'll be back in a minute. Alright guys, and I'm back. I decided to end up making a cut because I was gone for a decent little amount of time, but I am back. Alright, so next game on our agenda. Alright, so I gave the Steelers a 20-17 win over the Ravens, or the Eagles, right? So next game on the agenda, the Rams versus the Ravens. Now this is our first look at the new Rams. Alright, so how will this group of superstars gel together? Like, will Ndamukong Suh fit the scheme? You know, how will Marcus Peters and Aqib Talib do? You know, how will Brandon Cooks do in the new offense? Like, how will Jared Goff continue to perform at a good level? You know, that's something we get to see against the Ravens. Now, the Ravens would look like, will Lamar Jackson fare better in his second outing? Will RG3 continue to show flashes of his 2012 greatness? And will Joe Flacco play this time? I feel like they will play Joe Flacco, so if Joe Flacco can look good against this new Rams defense, you know, but he might make a case. But if Lamar Jackson and RG3 outperform Joe Flacco, is it possible Joe Flacco ends up getting traded? Now that is the big question. But overall, like, will this Ravens defense continue to be good? The Ravens always have a strong defense. Will they continue to have a strong defense? I feel as if they will. But anyways, guys, my prediction, I'm going to give the Ravens a 24-10 victory, a 2-touchdown victory. Obviously, it's preseason, so it's this number 2s against number 2s, number 3s against number 3s, and so on. Next game on the agenda, this is a yearly thing. The Patriots always play the Redskins during the preseason. And let me tell you guys, this could end up being a short podcast, a very short one. And it might go up a day late, who knows. But if it goes up a day late, I apologize. But, you know what, I'm going to try to get it up today. I'm going to try my best to get it up today. But guys, the Redskins playing the Patriots. And obviously the big question for the Redskins, how will the offense look with a new quarterback at them, Alex Smith? Now, you basically traded Kirk Cousins for an older version of himself that's going to put up about the same stats in Alex Smith. And you overpaid Alex Smith. But Alex Smith should click well with this offense. You know, it's going to be about the same as Kirk Cousins. The big question is, can the defense step up and play better and get the Redskins in the playoffs? And I just don't see it. I don't see the Redskins being a playoff team in the loaded NFC. You know, but the other team they're playing is the Patriots. Will Tom Brady do like last preseason and put up pedestrian numbers, but then come back this season and be a beast again? Like, obviously, as a Dolphins fan, I'm praying for him to have a Peyton Manning 2015-like regression, or even a 2014 Drew Brees-like regression. Like, they both showed age. Obviously, you get for the next 3 years, Drew Brees looks like a beast again, so he must have been dealing with some kind of injury that year. But for the Patriots, a big question, can they produce pass rush, and will their corners still be as good without Malcolm Butler? Bill Belichick is pretty much a genius at developing quarterbacks, so I don't personally see him losing anything in the pass defense department. If they can at least produce one guy that can get 10 or 12 sacks like Trey Flowers. But if they can't find help for Trey Flowers and every team double teams Trey Flowers or even triple teams, and the Patriots might struggle defensively. Especially without Matt Patricia there. They got a new DC, so that's going to be interesting. Going to be very interesting. But overall, I think I'm going to give the Redskins the 23-20 victory in this game. Preseason. Next up, you got Packers and Titans. Now, will Aaron Rodgers return from injury and be a beast again? Obviously, he's always going to be a beast. But will the defense actually step up to help him this year now that they got new additions? And will they be able to run the ball? Will the line be better this year with the guys returning from injury? The Packers have a lot of questions. Will Aaron Rodgers do good without his favorite weapon, Jordy Nelson? Now, let's think about this. 2015, the Packers struggled offensively when Jordy Nelson went down for the year. You got to think about that. Personally, I think Aaron Rodgers will do just fine. It's Aaron Rodgers. He's literally an elite quarterback. Any elite quarterback adapts and survives. That's exactly what he did in 2015. They still made the playoffs with a struggling offense because Rodgers did just enough to get them in the playoffs. Just saying. The Packers could still be a playoff team. Now, if you go watch my predictions, go watch them. Because I actually didn't even have the Packers in the playoffs this year just because the NFC is so loaded. And the Packers are beginning to fall behind in the race. I don't know. You guys might say I'm just a hater and I'm just biased, but I'm really not. I really gave my honest opinions on everything. All right, but now for the Titans, will Marcus Mariota be better in a new offense that's going to play to his skill set? I believe Mariota will be a better quarterback this year, even put up elite numbers. And the running game, Derrick Henry and Dion Lewis will be able to create another running game for him. Dion Lewis is they're trying to build an offense more similar to what Mariota was running at Oregon. Now, let's think about this. That usually doesn't work in the NFL, but we got to think Mariota. He's a very smart quarterback. He knows how to read defenses. Very smart quarterback. Last year it was a struggle. And obviously he's had injury issues his entire career pretty much. But I like Mariota. I think he can come back and be a good quarterback. But preseason, let's give the Titans a 24-17 victory over the Packers. Next up, Texans-Chiefs. Now this is interesting because if the first team, if Deshaun Watson's able to play, you have a battle of the number 10 overall pick and number 12 overall pick of last year's draft, which could be very interesting. Hopefully, I hope and pray Deshaun Watson comes back and puts up numbers similar to his rookie season, even better. Now, Watson, he's always going to be a guy with interception problems because a lot of times he tries to make the right play, or he tries to make the big play instead of the right play. But let me tell you, Deshaun Watson is probably one of the quarterbacks with the highest football IQ. That is a very, very smart quarterback. Deshaun Watson he's literally just a beast, guys. That's all I can say about Deshaun Watson. He's a beast, and I have to say, I feel like him, Lamar Jackson will be this year's Deshaun Watson if he plays. Remember, Deshaun Watson, he really didn't play the best in the preseason either. And he ended up being good, so it's just those rookie jitters in your first couple of preseason games. But, a lot of times, like last year, Deshaun Watson, rookies will come out and do well. And Deshaun Watson in his rookie season before he went down with injury, Andrew Luck in his rookie season, a lot of times, rookies will do well. They'll still throw a lot of interceptions. Andrew Luck in his rookie season threw 36 touchdowns in his rookie season, which is impressive. He also ended up throwing 16 interceptions. And he's always been a guy that throws a lot of interceptions in his career, just like Deshaun Watson. They both always been pretty high in interceptions. So, and obviously that Texans defense getting J.J. Watt and Whitney Merciless back. This Texans team could very well be a team to contend with the Jaguars in the NFC and the AFC South. And that's why I predict the AFC South has a very good chance of putting 3 teams in the playoffs this year. Now, in my predictions, I only have 2. I had my Dolphins as the number 6 seed, only because they beat the Titans week 1. And that might very well play the difference between which of those teams is the playoff team in the AFC. But on the other side, the Chiefs Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. Will Mahomes show the same type of command in this offense that, Alex Smith did? We'll just have to wait and see. Obviously, Tyreek Hill's still there, and you get Patrick Mahomes with that cannon of an arm to Tyreek Hill. I could easily see him connecting on 85-yard touchdowns at least 3 or 4 times this season. But personally, Patrick Mahomes, he still has he played good in that game against the Broncos, and that's no easy feat playing good against the Broncos, but the Broncos did deal with injuries last year. I still think they're going to be a playoff team this year. The Broncos are. I don't think the Chiefs will be. I really don't think the Chiefs will be great at all this season. Because Patrick Mahomes, I think he needs at least maybe a couple seasons, maybe 3, to actually settle into that starting role and get a better defense and better team around him. And I just think that's your main issue for the Chiefs. Defense. How will the defense be able to do against the Texans' offense? Especially the cornerback position. That's where they're weakest. Kendall Fuller. Last year, teams were able to run the ball on the Chiefs. Justin Houston's got to get back in form, as he's aging. D Ford, he's got to step up and play better because Tamba Ali is no longer there. So D Ford's got to step up as a young pass rusher and give that defense and the secondary the help they need. Eric Berry not getting any younger, also coming off of an injury. So that Chiefs defense is going to have a lot of question marks. Obviously, how will what's his name? They got a former linebacker from the Cowboys. I forgot the guy's name, but he's got to adjust to being a 3-4 inside linebacker. Reggie Ragland obviously going to be a beast. I think he's going to have a great NFL career. But, Benny Logan, he's actually not. Is he there? I can't remember. Chris Jones, obviously, at that 3-4 defensive end position, he's always been a beast, so he's still going to be good. But, the Chiefs have got to find the pieces on defense, and they need at least another wide receiver to complement Tyreek Hill. Sorry, guys. They could, maybe they, get a guy that can get more of a possession receiver like Jarvis Landry, or get a tall guy so Patrick Mahomes can throw the ball up to him with plenty of arm strength, throwing the ball up to him. That could work easily. But overall, I'm gonna give the Chiefs the win here in the preseason. 27-24, the highest scoring preseason game so far. Next up, this game also on NFL Network, another game I'm probably going to tune into, the Cowboys and 49ers. And now, for the 49ers, I'm really interested in seeing how the highest paid quarterback in the NFL is going to do in Jimmy Garoppolo. Man, the 49ers, I cannot blame them for being desperate. They haven't had a franchise quarterback since Kaepernick started really not playing well. But his last season in San Francisco, Kaepernick did play pretty well. 16 touchdowns, only 4 picks. But, then that was because he was motivated because he had Blaine freaking Gabbert start over him. So, another thing I forgot to mention with the Titans, I'm excited to see their new rookie quarterback Luke Falk play. Maybe they drafted Luke Falk and signed Blaine Gabbert to light a fire into Mariota's butt. That could be it. 2 pretty decent, a really good rookie quarterback, and a decent veteran that's gotten starting experience and played okay in his starting experience as a backup. Blaine Gabbert has never played well when he's a starting quarterback, but when he's a backup quarterback coming off the bench, for some reason he starts playing okay. Kind of same with former Dolphins quarterback Matt Moore. But anyways, let's get back to the Cowboys and 49ers. I'm all over the place. So, Jimmy Garoppolo, obviously he doesn't have the greatest of weapons. He's got Pierre Garçon, Marquise Goodwin, and Aldrick Robinson to throw the ball to. But The main thing, like the offensive line for the 49ers, it's not a bad offensive line, but they got to get better at pass blocking. That's their main thing. Pass blocking is an issue. So how will they be able to learn to pass block? How will they do pass blocking against the Cowboys, who they franchise tagged DeMarcus Lawrence? If this guy performs again, he performed well last year. If he does this again, he's getting paid next year. And along with David Irving, who's a pretty good defensive tackle too, the Cowboys can have a pass rush. Randy Gregory, if he can finally live up to those expectations that he had come out of the second round, I think he can. I think this Cowboys defense can be really dangerous. Obviously they lost their linebacker in the middle. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on his name. But the Cowboys, obviously for the 49ers, it's about seeing how Jerick McKinnon can perform. He might be able to take a little bit of a load off their franchise quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo. And will Jimmy G keep winning? That's a big question. Now the 49ers on defense, they have plenty of pieces on defense to get the job done. They've actually got a pretty good defense, I think. So overall, I forgot the Cowboys with their offensive line going through changes every year. You got Tyron Smith coming off of injury. Can they continue to pass block for Dak Prescott and run block for Ezekiel Elliott? How will Ezekiel Elliott look this year? Who was Dak Prescott throwing the ball to? Allen Hurns, Terrence Williams, and Cole Beasley. And now he doesn't have tight end Jason Witten, so Ezekiel Elliott may have to take the load unless Dak Prescott can actually prove that he's a legitimate franchise quarterback. Because it's not unusual to see a quarterback go through a sophomore slump. It's not unusual by any means. So Dak Prescott may very well pick it up in his third season, but the Cowboys need to make some noise, or Jason Garrett could very well be gone after this year. I could definitely see Jason Garrett being gone. And he should have been gone last year, even with a lot of the team banged up. He's not a great coach at all. He should have been gone. Alright, in the last game on Thursday night, the Colts and Seahawks. Will Andrew Luck play in this game? Probably not. If I was the Colts, I would ease him in and then maybe give him maybe one drive in week 3 of the preseason if he can play. But mostly I'd conserve him for the regular season. But how will he perform? I don't personally think Andrew Luck is an amazing quarterback by any means anyway. I mean, he could prove me wrong, but the Colts really don't have much of a team around them. So if you watch my predictions, I don't really have high expectation for the Colts at all. So who's running the ball, who's blocking for him, who's he throwing to other than T.Y. Hilton? They've done such a poor job with him. He took a halfway decent team all the way to an AFC title game. Not many quarterbacks can do that. So Andrew Luck may actually be a really good quarterback. But personally, it's not that he's not a good quarterback. I think he's a very good quarterback. I think all these injuries and the hits he's taken on the offensive line are going to ruin his career. A season from now, he could be like Tony Romo and be forced to retire because of back issues because he's taken so many hits. Andrew Luck and Ryan Tannehill and Russell Wilson. They all came to the league in 2012 as rookies. They've all performed well for their teams. The only difference is Tannehill, he has yet to start a playoff game for the Dolphins. I mean, he would have in 2016. Heck, in 2016, we would have been the number 5 seed. No, we wouldn't have. We wouldn't have been ahead of Oakland, but we would have, Tannehill could have played against Pittsburgh, and I personally think we could have beat the Steelers. The Steelers just have that knack for choking in the playoffs. I think we could have beat the Steelers with Tannehill at quarterback, but yeah, I'm not salty at all. He still would have had at least a playoff start under his belt if he had been able to stay healthy. But like, I'm just making the point. Speaking of Russell Wilson, that's who the Colts are playing against as quarterback for the other team. But like, these are three guys: Tannehill, Russell Wilson, and Andrew Luck. Their front offices for all three of those teams, the Seahawks, Colts, and Dolphins, have done such a poor job getting an offensive line for these guys. Like, these are three of the most hit quarterbacks coming into the league. Like, the Dolphins, like they're literally, their offensive line's been like all three offensive lines. The Colts, though, I would say the Colts have it worse than anybody because it's actually hurt their quarterback pretty much every year he's been in the league. Russell Wilson, I don't think he's missed a start yet. That guy's tough. Ryan Tannehill's tough. Heck, Andrew Luck's tough. But when you're getting sacked almost 70 times a year, it's eventually going to catch up with you. It caught up with Tannehill finally. He got hit low. He tore his ACL. Then he tore his ACL in practice. It finally caught up with these guys. Russell Wilson, it could eventually catch up with him, especially with him being more of a scrambling quarterback, because with that offensive line being awful, he might have to scramble more. That could get him hurt. It could. One bad slide and all of a sudden you've got a concussion, and that's going to affect you the rest of your career. But you know, with the Seahawks, they're changing their culture. The only three guys they really have that really contributed big time on that Super Bowl teams, on the Super Bowl winning team, the team that made it, and the teams that have been in the playoffs every year since Russell Wilson came in to the league up until last year, like Russell Wilson, Doug Baldwin, and you know, that's pretty much it. You know, like, they no longer have Michael Bennett, so their pass rush is already weakened big time. The entire Legion of Boom's gone. You know, Byron Maxwell's their best corner at this point is Justin Coleman is their best cornerback now. Like Byron Maxwell, Brandon Browner, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, and Richard Sherman, they're all might as well be gone. Earl Thomas is asking for a trade. He no longer wants to be there. And if I was the Seahawks, I would trade Earl Thomas, because you might be able to get a first-round pick and a decent depth player out of Earl Thomas. A team that's really desperate for a safety, like, you know, like I forgot Bobby Wagner and KG Wright's still there, but that's only two players on each side of the ball that contributed to those Super Bowl wins, to that Super Bowl win. Like, you know, like the team, you've either traded away or they've retired. You know, and I think last year they dealt with the injuries. The offensive line's been weak, so, and you know, ever since Marshawn Lynch retired, it's completely been a struggle. You know, they'll have running backs that get hot at one time and then they get cold, like Thomas Rawls. You know, with Chris Carson, you don't know exactly what you have, but you drafted Rashad Penny in the first round this year, and now we get to see how that first-round pick at running back is going to do. Going from San Diego State to the NFL. You know, that's a big jump for him. And you've already got expectations, so obviously we need to see how both the Seahawks and Colts perform in this game. Preseason, I'm going to say this is a low-scoring game. 13-7 Seahawks win. You know, I don't expect much. Now on Friday, you've got two games on the NFL Network. You've got the Falcons and Jets. Probably a game I'm going to tune into. You know, with the Jets, I want to see how their new rookie Sam Darnold does. How will he do? For the Falcons, I want to see how Calvin Ridley will do and how deadly this offense actually looks for the one or two drives they're out there. It's going to be a deadly offense for the Falcons. The Jets, you know, I believe week one they're going to end up starting Sam Darnold, but I don't personally see Sam Darnold turning out great in the NFL, but Personally, I'm not going to wish for any player not to turn out great in the NFL. So best of luck to Sam Darnold. But you're playing on the Jets. They don't really have talent. Something they completely lack is talent. Like, E.J. Gaines is their only notable player on defense I can actually name. Like, they have Darren Lee, but it's not like he's ever really turned out great. They have, they got Jamal Adams, I think he's going to be okay. But on offense, your offensive line, it's not good. You don't have a legitimate tight end at all. Your receivers, Robbie Anderson got arrested. He's no longer with the team. Quincy Enunwa coming off the injury. Your running backs, you signed Isaiah Crowell, but Isaiah Crowell, he's never really been a legitimate star. Matt Forte's old. Bilal Powell, he's getting up there. I think he's 30 now. The Jets have got to turn over a new leaf. They've got to keep doing bad. They need to get a new organization there. I would not mind if Todd Bowles got fired from the Jets and then came to Miami as a defensive coordinator, because he can install that type of physicality we need on defense. I would love for that to happen. We need the physicality on defense, and we need a good defensive coordinator, and he's definitely that. But personally, I think when the ones are in, this is going to be a blowout, because the Falcons are also a pretty good defensive team. The Jets not a great offensive team. But overall, I'm going to give the Falcons a 28-17 win in a preseason game. I think it's just talent-wise, the Falcons are a lot better, even though it's preseason. The Falcons have the more depth, so it's not going to be pretty. The next game on Friday, the last game on Friday, on the NFL Network, you have the Lions battling the Raiders. And now this is really interesting, because you got two new head coaches in the league battling each other. John Gruden obviously been a coach in the league before, so, but, you really don't know what to expect with a new team, though. Derek Carr, how will he bounce back this season? Hopefully he does, because he's actually a really talented quarterback. You've got a new offense designed to get the ball in Amari Cooper's hands, similar to Alabama's 2014 offense. You're designing it to get it in the hands of Amari Cooper. So will Amari Cooper bounce back this year? I hope he does. As an Alabama fan, I hope he does. I hope him, Julio Jones, and Calvin Ridley, probably three of the three best wide receivers in Alabama football history in recent memory. Soon to be Jerry Jeudy and Devontae Smith will be up there too. But that's for another video. But I think all three of them are going to be absolute superstars in the league. They're all similar. They've all got height. They've all got size. They've all got speed. But last year, two Alabama receivers struggled. Julio Jones and Amari Cooper both struggled with catches. And they also both struggled with finding the end zone. And with the Falcons, I think with Amari Cooper, he needs a culture change, a new head coach. That new head coach is John Gruden. With the Falcons, I think it was they're kind of just trying to learn a new offense from Steve Sarkisian, but Sarkisian's going to get it together. He's got to. There's literally no offensive coordinator that could actually mess that offense up, except Joe Philbin. And this guy is so irrelevant, I can't even remember his name. It was the Giants head coach last year. Dang. I can't even remember his name right now. I'm drawing a blank on that. But, literally the only two guys that can mess up that offense. But, okay, why am I talking about them? I'm supposed to be talking about the Lions and Raiders. But, with Oakland, you got a new offense designed on getting the ball in Amari Cooper's hands. And I'm hoping Khalil Mack can be dominant again. I think this Raiders team, maybe not first season, but definitely next year or the year after, when they're able to get draft picks and a few more signings and free agency, this team could be a deadly team and an easy Super Bowl contender. With the Lions, they are also a future Super Bowl contender in my eyes. Matt Stafford, you've literally wasted his career up to this point. Get this man a running game, please. Improve this offensive line as good as you can. Please. Please get this man a Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford is the most underappreciated quarterback in the league next to Phillip Rivers. Literally the two most underappreciated quarterbacks in the league. They're both extremely good quarterbacks that never have the team, and if they do have the team, it's always injuries that hurt these guys in the long run. Two guys that never get by in the playoffs because the team around them. You know, I think it's time that finally the Lions have Kerryon Johnson, Garrett Blount, and Theo Riddick, and Amir Abdullah in that backfield. If you cannot produce a run game with that and a decent offensive line, then you're doing something wrong with the run game. Matt Stafford, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, probably, in my opinion, the most clutch quarterback in the NFL. With all these comeback victories, the most clutch quarterback in the NFL. Defensively, the Lions definitely have the defense to get it done. They have the defense. It's all about performing now. So please, for the love of God, Lions, Raiders, or Browns, please get your city a Super Bowl soon. Especially for the Browns and Lions, their first one. The Raiders have won it before, but they need to return to those glory days. And coming up next is another team that needs to get their city a Super Bowl. Oh wait, I forgot to give you my score prediction now. I'm going to give the Lions a 17-14 win over the Raiders. But next up, speaking of teams that need to get their cities a Super Bowl, the Vikings, you're 0-4 in Super Bowls. Win a freaking Super Bowl. This is your best opportunity. You've got a good receiving core. You've got a quarterback that's an improvement over Case Keenum and Kirk Cousins. If you can win with Case Keenum and Sam Bradford at quarterback, you can win with Kirk Cousins at quarterback. And I forgot to mention Teddy Bridgewater on the Jets. I want to see how he can do. And honestly, if Tannehill don't work out, Teddy, come home to Miami. I would love to have you in Miami. You're a good quarterback. But anyways, Kirk Cousins, the new Vikings quarterback, battling the old Vikings quarterback in Case Keenum. The only difference, Kirk Cousins and his offense is actually 10 times as good as the Broncos and their offense. That's Case Keenum and his offense. So, have fun. Now, Kirk Cousins, can he perform well against this Broncos defense, especially with Bradley Chubb? Personally, I hope Bradley Chubb at least gets a sack in this game. Please, Bradley Chubb, get a sack in your first NFL game. I pray. Also, Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen, can you please help Kirk carve up the Broncos defense and prove that you are a legitimate contender? And also, Vikings, please win a Super Bowl. Obviously, I want my Dolphins to win it, but if they don't win it, I hope the Vikings or Falcons, Lions or Browns win their first Super Bowl this year. The Raiders have won a Super Bowl, so I want one of those 5 teams, actually 6. I want the Chargers, who are the next team up, possibly to win their first Super Bowl. I want one of those teams to win a Super Bowl if the Dolphins don't do it. But anyways, the Broncos, Case Keenum, throwing to aging Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. Luckily, you got Cortland Sutton for the future, for your future franchise quarterback, because Case Keenum is probably not that. Alright, but anyways, the Vikings defense easily overpowers Case Keenum when the ones are in. Overall, Vikings grab a 20-7 victory. The Vikings are just a better team through and through than the Broncos. And last but not least, the Chargers and Cardinals. Phillip, I hope you win a Super Bowl before you retire. I do. I mean, if you have to come to Miami to win one, help us win one, I'm all for it. You can do it. Phillip, I hope that your team does not completely get injured this year. Phillip, I just hope you win a Super Bowl, Phillip. I want you to win a Super Bowl before you retire because you deserve it, Philip. You're a great quarterback. If you're watching this, you're awesome. I love you, dude. You're a good quarterback. You might throw a few too many interceptions sometimes, but you're a good quarterback nonetheless. And for the Cardinals, if you're watching this, Josh Rosen, you're going to be a future star. You and Lamar Jackson are going to turn out as the two best quarterbacks out of this year's draft class. But anyways, end of the video. So for the Chargers, Phillip Rivers throws to the tight ends a lot. Can a guy like Braden Bowman step up? I feel like they can. Phillip Rivers will help them be good. Braden Bowman or Virgil Green, he'll help them be good. Keenan Allen, please stay healthy for Phillip Rivers. Mike Williams, please stay healthy for Phillip Rivers. Please, guys, help Phillip Rivers win his first Super Bowl one day. I would love that. In fact, make it his last year. Make him similar to Peyton Manning, win his first, except this is his first one. Help him win his first Super Bowl in his last season. Alright? Now, the defense for the Chargers, still a legitimate defense, still a really good defense. So, it's still a good defense. That's all I can say. Still a good defense. But, especially that secondary. That secondary is ridiculous now. Really good secondary. You just drafted Desmond King to go along with Trevor Williams. Dang. Why am I always drawing a blank on these guys' names? Casey Hayward and the other guy, the other cornerback. Dang it. Anyways, he's still a good cornerback. I'm sorry, you can comment his name, please. But the Chargers are still a legitimate team. They could be a legitimate contender. Melvin Gordon, he can perform better. This offensive line should improve this year. They're finally trying to fix the O-line this late in Phillip Rivers' career. Finally. Thank you. And for the Cardinals, Josh Rosen's going to end up starting this year. We all know it. And he will do well for his rookie season. And guys, that's all I got to say. I'm going to give the Chargers the win 23-10 here. 23-17. Let's make it a closer game. But you know what, guys? That's going to wrap it up for this video. Real American Josh out. I really enjoyed bringing this first Real American Sports podcast to you guys. Peace.